We're live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good morning, and thank you for joining the media briefing for Council President Kate Stewart. I'm Jordan Lindsay. Reporters, if you still need permission to record, please note that in the chat. If you have any questions throughout the briefing, you can note that in the chat or raise your hand and I will call on you accordingly. Now I'll toss it to Council President Stewart for opening remarks, and then we'll open it up for questions. Council President, to you.
Great. Thank you very much, Jordan. Good morning, everyone. Today, unfortunately, I start our media briefing with a heavy heart. We lost a firefighter over the weekend. Master firefighter Christopher Higgins lost his life in the line of duty on Saturday while fighting a house fire in Laurel. I was with Fire Chief Smedley and others at the hospital on Saturday night and can tell you that Master Chief Firefighter Higgins was a true hero who devoted more than 22 years of his life to protecting and serving our community with compassion and care. We are committed to providing the Higgins family and our entire Montgomery County Fire and Rescue Service with the support they need throughout this difficult time. We will keep Master Firefighter Higgins and his commitment to safeguarding others in our thoughts, and we know those who he served and who served with him will continue his legacy. May his memory be a blessing to all who knew him. Moving on to council and community issues. During the council recess, I had the opportunity to meet with many residents and local leaders across the county. I joined the American Muslim Senior Society, community members, and county leaders to celebrate the graduation of over 100 certified nursing assistants through the Society's Certified Nurses Assistant Scholarship and Employment Program. I also joined community members for a walking tour of the historic African American community, Emery Grove in Gaithersburg. This community was originally founded by freed African Americans in 1864. The walking tour was an opportunity to learn more about the community's history and the planned collaborative redevelopment of the town, which will feature Emery Grove United Methodist Church as the historic center and new mixed-income housing created via the Heritage Emery Grove project. Then, at the JCRC of Greater Washington annual Locks and Legislative Breakfast, I had a chance to connect with hundreds of members of the Jewish community and elected leaders to discuss shared priorities and our outlook for the year ahead. I'm grateful for all of the important work JCRC does for our community, including bringing people of all faiths and backgrounds together, advocating for increased security grants for nonprofits and faith groups, and standing up against hate and bias. On Friday, we did receive some good news to start off 2025, and that is that Montgomery County has been selected for a federal RAISE grant. That's the Rebuilding America Infrastructure with Sustainability and Equity. The grant is for over $24 million to advance work on a second entrance to the North Bethesda Metro and surrounding improvements. The grant money will assist the county in accelerating life sciences in North Bethesda and transform this area into a multimodal transportation hub featuring safer, more direct access to Metro Rail and other local designations for all. The project investments include constructing a new entrance to the North Bethesda Metro Station, provide 2 public plazas that create open space and opportunities for civic and recreational activities, prepare the station for new flash bus rapid transit, and enhance pedestrian and bicycle safety and mobility to and from North Bethesda Metro Station, and also support the development atop of the new station entrance. So we're very excited about this grant and thank our federal partners, particularly Senator Van Hollen and his assistance. The council officially returns today with our state legislation meeting that is scheduled at 12:30. That will be followed by a joint HHS and GO committee meeting this afternoon, and we'll hold our first full council session tomorrow. On our state legislation meeting today, we start this after the opening of the session in Annapolis last Wednesday, January 8th. State legislative meetings with the council present important opportunities to collaborate on advancing policies that address local priorities such as education, transportation, and economic development. Among the legislation under consideration for this General Assembly session are bills to help reduce vehicle crashes and fatalities through speed and stop sign monitoring systems. Some of these would be in specific areas such as school zones or high-risk highways with consideration for countywide adoption. Also up for consideration is a bill MC 9-25 that would authorize Montgomery County to adopt a local law establishing a ranked choice or approval rating voting system. Additionally, there's another bill, MC 5-25, that would create a task force on the displacement of residents of Emery Grove to study how urban renewal from 1960 to 1985 caused displacement of the town's residents and to make recommendations on potential remedies, which tie into the community efforts that I mentioned earlier as part of the walking tour that I was able to take. I'm looking forward to the upcoming work of the Montgomery County delegation and the continued conversations we will have with them on key issues impacting our community. As Council President, I'm committed to working with our state delegation to help advance Montgomery County's interests during this year's General Assembly session. Tomorrow, we will be holding a few public hearings that I want to highlight. One will be for nearly $3 million in a supplemental appropriation to support the 988 crisis hotline service. The supplemental appropriation combines funding from 2 state grant awards provided through the Maryland Behavioral Health Administration. The funds will help cover operational costs, staffing needs, and information technology, cybersecurity audit, and indirect costs for providing Lifeline 988 hotline services. The council will take action on the supplemental appropriation right after the public hearing. Another public hearing we have is on Bill 24-24, known as the Bring Your Own Bag Bill, which I am the lead on. This bill would prohibit plastic carryout bags provided by a retail establishment and require a small tax on paper carryout bags at the point of sale with certain exceptions. Banning single-use plastic carryout bags will assist in the cleanup of our waterways, parks, and public spaces and advance public health. The bill encourages people to bring reusable bags with them shopping and improves the process for our local businesses. I developed this bill in coordination with environmentalists, retailers, and local chambers of commerce. It aligns with 9 other neighboring areas around Maryland and moves toward a more sustainable future in the county. We also have a public hearing and a vote scheduled for tomorrow for a $110,000 supplemental appropriation for the Germantown Employment Sector Plan. This appropriation supports increased community engagement on the sector plan, as well as more research on its local transportation network. As part of the funding request, $80,000 is expected to support the study of existing roadway capacity and the potential reconfiguration of existing roads to implement multimodal and Vision Zero goals and strategies. Additionally, $30,000 would be used for robust engagement activities in the diverse sector plan community, including translation services, canvassing of residents and businesses in multiple neighborhoods, and a multitude of meeting types and locations across the plan area with various stakeholders. Additionally, during our council day tomorrow, we will host 2 very important proclamations to uplift community members. In the morning, we will be hosting a commemoration for Muslim American Heritage Month to recognize and celebrate the profound impact Muslim Americans have had in Montgomery County. The Muslim community of Montgomery County has brought cultural richness, economic growth, and community service to our county. During the COVID-19 pandemic, mosques, nonprofit groups, and individuals of the Muslim faith worked together with the county to provide essential services like food, clothing, and information to residents in need. These efforts are ongoing. Food distribution continues in places like the Muslim Community Center in Silver Spring through their food pantry program for residents in need all year round, with additional efforts during the holy month of Ramadan. Muslim residents have also led efforts to raise funds and provide support for people in need around the world. Mosques and other Muslim community organizations have also been essential partners in assisting refugees get settled in Montgomery County, with their most recent efforts and activities helping Afghan community members get rehoused in the White Oak area just a few months ago, and helping them get connected to resources to help workforce development in the county. In the afternoon, we will be joined by the county executive to host a proclamation for Korean American Day. Korean American Day commemorates the arrival of the first Korean immigrants to the United States on January 13th, 1903. On this day, we celebrate not only the achievements of Korean Americans in all sectors and industries, including medicine, technology, entertainment, civic engagement, and more, but we also celebrate their resilience in overcoming discrimination and challenges to building thriving communities that enrich the fabric of our nation. Montgomery County has cultivated strong connections with Korea through various cultural, economic, and community initiatives, including the establishment of a Sister City partnership with Daejeon, South Korea, fostering cultural exchange and mutual development. I look forward to celebrating both events and hosting these proclamations tomorrow with the groups who join us to celebrate. I also want to highlight that, as many of you may have heard, on Thursday, the Montgomery County Economic Development Corporation announced that their their chief operating officer and president, Bill Tompkins, will be stepping down at the end of his term in office in August. I want to close by thanking Bill for his leadership over the last 6 years and his commitment to promoting economic development. His collaboration with the council continues to be appreciated and valued, and I know he's committed to a seamless transition for the organization. As a public-private development organization, the Montgomery County Economic Development Corporation has its own board of directors, and the organization will be conducting the search for its new COO and president. Councilmember Marilyn Balcom serves as an ex officio member of the board for the council. Those are all my updates. I'll turn it back to Jordan.
Great. Thank you so much, Council President Stewart. Reporters, again, if you have any questions, note that in the chat, or you can raise your hand and I will call on you accordingly. Up first, we have Brad Bell with ABC 7 WJLA. Good morning, Brad.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for doing this. Stewart, I'm asking about attainable housing. In recent days, a couple of your colleagues have come out saying that the attainable housing proposal should be paused. May I ask you your position on what should happen with the attainable housing at this point in time? And what's your vote count on the council right now?
Great. Well, Brad, thank you so much for the question. Currently, the council has no legislation before it regarding zoning and housing. The Attainable Housing Strategies report was developed by the planning department and given to us by the planning board at the request of the prior council to look at changes in zoning that would help increase the housing supply in Montgomery County, particularly the housing supply of what had used to be called middle missing housing and is now called attainable housing. So this report, the Attainable Housing Strategies, includes a number of recommendations and ideas, but nothing has been introduced to vote on the county council at this time. If and when we do receive a zoning text amendment that would change our local zoning laws, we would go through the process that we would normally go through when my colleagues or myself bring something to our body. It would be introduced. We would have public hearings, committee sessions before it came before the council for a vote. I think there's been a lot of discussion of the attainable housing strategies. It was discussed by the Planning, Housing, and Parks Committee in the fall, and then led by the chair of that committee and the former council president, Councilmember Friedson. There were 6 town halls across the county that were held in the fall, in addition to many meetings that many members of the council held. All of this was to provide us with input and people's feedback on the attainable housing strategies in order to prepare somebody, if they wanted to actually present a ZTA, a zoning text amendment for us to consider. But at the moment, there's no need to count votes because there's nothing to count. There's nothing to vote on.
Okay. But you're the council president now. You've
Yeah.
got some control over the agenda. What's your position on it? The idea. Now, obviously, council members Mink and Jawando have put out statements asking for a pause in this thing. Do you think it should move ahead? Should there be a pause?
So there's nothing to pause, I guess I would say, because the council does not vote on the attainable housing strategies. That was a report sent to us by the planning board to present ideas for us to look at. So I can tell you, as council president, conversations on housing will continue this year. We have to. We are in a housing crisis, both on the supply side and affordability. So we are not pausing conversations on that. We will continue that. At the moment, though, we do not have any specific legislation before us.
You anticipate there being specific legislation on attainable housing. Now, there's a battle between affordable and attainable.
Mm-hmm.
Two different words, very different meanings, but do you anticipate legislation will be coming on attainable housing?
I anticipate that a number of members of the council will be looking at ways for us to increase our supply of housing, as well as affordability. These things, as you say, they are two different things, but we are facing a housing crisis in both arenas. And there are a number of things that we can do to address our housing crisis. There's not going to be one answer to this. In addition to that, we know that at the state level, there will be additional legislation introduced regarding housing as well. So I think we need to look at how all of those things are going to work together. If I had to guess looking forward, and it's not really a guess, but it's like to think about us as we move forward in the upcoming months, given the crisis we are facing with housing, I'm sure we will see some zoning text amendments and legislation introduced.
Okay, but you're unwilling to take a, look, this has been controversial because of the notion of tearing down a single family home, putting up a duplex, triplex, quad apartment building in some areas. You're unwilling today to take a position on that proposal. That's not a legislation,
Brett,
but
there's
it's a
no,
proposal.
Brett, so if you look at the attainable housing strategies,
Yep.
it is not a proposal. There are many suggestions in that, some of which I agree with, some of which I do not. So there's not a way to say, do you support or oppose a proposal? Because there is no singular proposal. The attainable housing strategy is a menu of ideas on what we can do in the county regarding our zoning laws. That was the task that was put before the planning department, and that is what they responded to. A menu of ideas to address our zoning laws to encourage the building of more attainable housing.
Okay, I'll one more and then I'll give up.
Okay, that's right.
So your colleagues have come out, Ms. Joando and Mink have come out and said, hey, it's time to pause. So they've seen something that's worth taking a position on. Were they premature?
Were they premature in saying,
Premature
sorry?
and coming out and yeah, they've issued statements to the community saying, hey, this what we've been discussing is not the right road. And
Well, I also
time for
think
a pause.
that Councilmember Joando and Mink in their statements outlined a number of other items that they suggest we look at in housing. And some of those are actually included in the attainable housing strategies and complement. So, I think regarding what exactly Council Vice President Joando or Mink meant by a pause, it would be best to ask them.
Okay, I will. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you, Brad. Any other reporters with questions? I don't see any questions in the chat, or you can raise your hand. Miriam Shazad with My MCM. Hi, Miriam.
Hi, good morning. Thank you, Council President. Just wanted to ask, could you just give a quick overview of the difference between attainable and affordable housing, or how you would define that?
Great. So I think that is a great question that we've been looking at in the last few months on the at the council, and the planning department has done an excellent job. And I know that we can follow up with some links to presentations that they've been providing to the members of the public in order to get a good definition on that. When we think about attainable housing and the missing middle housing, that has different definitions than in terms of affordability. Lots of times when we're looking at affordability, we're defining that in terms of area median income. And it has a different connotation. And so for this exercise, what they were looking at is how do we build more housing that is more easily accessible to people in the community. So there would be the type of things that we're thinking about, like duplexes, townhomes. So the idea was to look at what are some ways that people might be able to purchase a home that is their first time home in the county. And, you know, when we look at different housing prices and other things, we do know that, for example, if you're talking about a condo or a townhouse or and a home that is attached, those prices generally are less than a single family attached home. That it helps us define, you know, what might be attainable for folks. But in another category is affordability. And when we talk about affordability in the county, we are generally talking about different levels of AMI. But I think the county, the planning department has done an excellent job of outlining those different categories and how to think about it. And we can follow up and send that to you.
Got it. Thank you so much.
Great, thank you, Miriam. And yeah, like Council President Stewart said, we will follow up with that. Next, we have Judith Cruz with Greater Only News. Good morning, Judy.
Good morning. Good morning, Council President. Just a quick question, and I'm sorry that I cannot determine the nuance of this, but what is the difference between the bring your own bag legislation now and what we did years ago that I carry and my car is filled with all of the shopping bags that I've been carrying around for, I don't know, a decade?
Great. So right now, stores, retail establishments can have plastic carryout bags, and they charge 5 cents for that. What has occurred, and when we put that in place years ago, Montgomery County was really at the forefront. What has happened, though, is that many other jurisdictions near us and around the country have looked at how we're actually going to change behavior and get rid of the plastic bags in our waterways, in our environment, and moving towards a ban on plastic bags is what many other jurisdictions have done, and that's what this bill does. And so we would no longer have plastic carryout bags and retail establishments.
So if I walked into the store as I normally do and have all of those, you know, dozens of bags in my car because I forgot to carry them in, I would have to carry my groceries out in my arms.
Oh, no, you can use a paper bag. Sorry.
Okay.
They
Okay.
would, yes. Sorry, Judy.
No. That explains it. Thank you so much.
Right. You can use paper bags. Yes.
Okay.
Great.
Gotcha. Thank you.
It's just plastic bags we're banning.
All righty. Thanks very much.
Great. Thank you so much, Judy. Any other questions, reporters? Raise your hand or you can note that in the chat. Going once, going twice, 3 times. Okay, back to you, Council President. Thank you.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Jordan. And thank you to everyone for their questions today. And I look forward to talking to you again in the future. Thank you.